everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com with a jam-packed news update today, most of which comes courtesy of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but it's been reported on various websites out there, so you can probably find them in various locations, PW Insider, SE Scoops, all that good stuff. So yeah, we're going to talk about various things, including, this one's definitely from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Cody and the Bucks and the Elite, basically the contracts that they reportedly turned down from WWE. Details of those, including some sort of booking plans maybe, as well as a very specific thing involving a show on the WWE Network. We're also going to talk about 2 WrestleMania matches that are apparently in the works. One looks kind of certain, one looks maybe a bit up in the air after some very recent events. Thirdly, we're going to talk about some people who look to be on their way into WWE, including a major New Japan Pro Wrestling star and a few excellent, very talented female wrestlers as well. And finally, we are also going to talk about the whole Kota Ibushi situation at Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan, where he was concussed, whether that was a work, whether that was a shoot, what the whole stretcher job meant after the match as well in his defeat to Will Ospreay at the start of the show. All that, so let's, get out of breath, let's crack on with it and let's take a look at all of the news. First and foremost, let's talk about the Elite and the contracts that they turned down from WWE before they officially announced All Elite Wrestling. Meltzer has some details of those contracts. Apparently, they were very, very handsome deals, which I guess makes sense given the fact that WWE wouldn't want another major competitor in North America, a viable alternative to their own product. So it makes sense that they would pay through the nose, I guess, to secure the contracts of those creative minds behind AEW, guys like the Bucks, Cody, Hangman Page, and those sort of people. Now, apparently there were certain perks as well. So basically, apparently the Bucks and Cody themselves were offered very, very good deals, apparently on a similar level to AJ Styles, who was of course a recent WWE champion, a top level star on SmackDown, apparently coming straight into the company or straight back in the case of Cody. They would be on similar sort of deals money-wise, monetarily-wise, to AJ Styles. Also, apparently there were plans for a Rumble to Mania storyline as well this year involving the Elite. Finally as well, Adam Page was thought to be moving to NXT, where he'd sign with the company, where he'd be paid main roster money to be a major part of the NXT brand. Apparently, he would be pushed there as a major star of NXT. But the most interesting part of the story to me revolves around being the Elite. Apparently, WWE were open to, should the Elite have signed with WWE, they were open to the idea of being the Elite becoming a regular show on the WWE Network. That's a pretty groundbreaking decision, and one which I think, had it come true, really would have demonstrated just how desperate WWE were to get the contracts of these guys. Apparently though, they were in long talks with Triple H, and when it was all said and done and they turned it down, apparently he took it in very good humor, very good sort of sportsmanship, I guess. So that's, it's nice that everyone's remained friends. Next up, 2 rumored big matches for WrestleMania 35. Let's start by talking about the reported main event. Apparently, on paper at the moment, this is the main event WWE are gonna go for, but it is not set in stone. Apparently the card, well, we know that the card is always subject to change, but apparently even WWE have admitted themselves to sources that apparently this is very much not set in stone. It's more penciled in. But the match that they're looking to move forwards with potentially is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey, the triple threat match to headline WrestleMania. Presumably, I'm guessing, for Ronda Rousey's Raw Women's Championship. It will be the first female main event in WrestleMania history, absolutely groundbreaking, but at the same time, it's one that may annoy quite a few Becky Lynch fans given the fact that the other big idea on the table, the other big option, was a straight singles match between Becky and Ronda Rousey. But apparently the thinking is that including Charlotte in the match, that gives a good chance for the match quality to improve. Apparently that might be the thinking. And also the idea of giving all 3 women kind of a legacy going forwards in terms of they were in the first ever all-women's main event of WrestleMania. So that wouldn't just, give that accolade to Ronda and Becky or Ronda and Charlotte. It would let all 3 women carry that forwards into their careers and really solidify and galvanize their status as true greats of the industry. The other match is a bit of an unexpected one. Apparently that was set to be Lars Sullivan versus John Cena. The very fact that this match is even being talked about, even in rumored form, shows just how big a star WWE believe that Lars Sullivan can be. But sadly, some things seem to have apparently got in the way of his debut on the main roster. Apparently Lars Sullivan was set to appear in some sort of dark match this week at Raw, but then suffered an anxiety attack and was kind of excused from the parts of the show that he was supposed to be on. Now, It was mentioned in The Observer that WWE are now more understanding backstage of sort of mental health issues after the whole Mauro Ranallo situation, which I think is obviously a good thing moving forwards. At the same time, I'm just totally taken by surprise with the matchup of Lars Sullivan versus John Cena, reportedly, of course, at WrestleMania. That seems such a huge deal for Lars Sullivan. And while, we haven't really seen him on the main roster yet, we haven't seen what he can do, I think that if anyone's good at getting someone else over at this stage of his career, it's probably got to be John Cena. But of course, with Lars Sullivan's reported anxiety attack sadly delaying his main roster debut, this match is all up in the air. We don't know whether that's actually going to take place or be the plan moving forwards, or whether something else will be found, not only for Lars Sullivan going into WrestleMania, but for John Cena as well. Now for some future superstars reportedly on their way to WWE. The big one being Kushida, the ace of New Japan's junior heavyweight division. He's getting on a bit. I think he's in his mid to late 30s and is getting to the sort of stage in his career where if he was going to jump to WWE, now would be the time. It has been reported by various sources now online that he does appear to be heading to WWE. That seems to be his destination. The story circulating seems to have Kushida debuting in NXT rather than 205 Live, which many people, I guess, feared. But obviously, just because you appear in NXT doesn't mean that you won't go on to appear in 205 Live, as superstars such as Hideo Itami have demonstrated. Obviously, I think it would be much better for Kushida to be in NXT because as good as the matches have sometimes been on 205 Live, it does seem as though it's a bit of a difficult place to get over in unless your name is Neville. Other wrestlers thought to be heading to WWE in the near future include Viper and Kaylee Rey, both of whom appeared not only in the Mae Young Classic the first time around, but also on ITV's World of Sport series. So it seems as though that hasn't really blackballed them from WWE or anything like that. The offers are still very much on the table, and both Viper and Kaylee Rey are expected to be heading over to WWE in the near future. One woman who isn't so much expected to be heading to WWE is Bea Priestley. We've seen her wrestle in World of Sport itself, Stardom over in Japan, Defiant Wrestling, various UK indie promotions, and as well as being a good wrestler in her own right, she's also, of course, the girlfriend of Will Ospreay. I only mention that because that's kind of important when we learn about the likelihood of her accepting or, rejecting this rumored WWE deal. Apparently, the feeling is at the moment that Bea Priestley will not be heading to WWE to join Viper and Kaylee Rey because herself and Ospreay are looking to move to Japan full time, where Ospreay is, of course, seems to be at least becoming a big old deal in New Japan's heavyweight division rather than just being in the junior division where he has been so far in his New Japan career. And of course, Bea Priestley is a pretty big deal in Japan in her own right. I mentioned that she wrestles quite a lot in Stardom as well, and with her being in Japan full time, if that is the move that they're going to take, that would, I guess, lead to her becoming an even bigger star in the company rather than just a gaijin wrestler who only comes in once in a while. And finally, we briefly mentioned New Japan there. Let's stay with that for our final news story, which revolves around Dave Meltzer shedding some light on the whole Kota Ibushi situation. For those who missed it, at Wrestle Kingdom 13, in the opening match of the main portion of the card, Ospreay defeated Ibushi with a sort of sick back elbow that he does sometimes. Ibushi sold it like death, like he was knocked out, and then Ospreay pinned him with the Stormbreaker. Now, a lot of people were wondering whether this was a work or a shoot because Ibushi was stretchered out afterwards. Apparently, reports of Ibushi suffering a mild concussion are absolutely true, but it didn't come from the back elbow spot, which is kind of the story that they went with going forwards. It actually came earlier in the match, apparently through some sort of kick from Ospreay. But Ibushi powered through the match. Full credit to him for doing that. Real sort of toughness on display. Sold the elbow correctly as if that was the thing that had injured him, and then, took the pinfall loss and was stretchered out. Apparently the stretcher job was a total work and it was always part of the plan. Obviously the concussion was an accident. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this rather breathless news update. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic. And if you want to as well, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe and to join us.